Well, hello, my pickles. My name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto, and today it's at like 24 carbs. Well, I just feel so good today, and I don't know if it's because it's the second day of sunshine after 10 days of clouds or what, but I feel so good. I did my overnight. I got out of the police department at 8 a.m. and I drove to Market Basket. And I bought all kinds of goodies, and I've just spent the last couple of hours doing a whole bunch of meal prepping. And I'm still not done, but I feel energized. What's up with that? Usually I'm like in this fog. So I'm going to have my beloved taco salad. And I got some hydroponic leaf lettuce, you know, that it's got all the little strands and stuff raised in water. And that's my base, and then my salsa, and my sour cream, and my jalapeno peppers, and my ½ ounce of Cabot pepper jack cheese that I've shredded. And I'm having 4 ounces of pulled pork that I made yesterday. And I'm having that with 1 ounce of cauliflower crumbles mixed in, and I'm going to heat it up in a pan with a little bit of butter. And, yeah, just to add, you know, some oomph to it. Cauliflower crumbles are like that, you know, you can do that. Tonight for dinner is fresh caught, not frozen cod. Funny, I live on Cape Cod. With a great big salad and 30 grams of sautéed green beans in bacon fat. What can I tell you? Doesn't get better than that. If it does, you'll get a memo, okay? So, what am I here to talk about today? Well, it's kind of a grim subject, but it's binging. And it is something that I guess a lot of us, you know, is based in shame, of course. And so when somebody has a problem with binging, I usually learn about it via a private message. It's not something that people, you know, spill out. And if you have the affliction of binging, it's not overeating, it's not, you know, having a no-no, licking a spoon, having something off somebody else's, but it's none of that. Binging is just an awful, awful place to be because it's like emotionally not able to stop. And one of the pickles here, Kelly, talked about it, and she's doing great today. And I guess that kind of made me think about it, along with no fewer than 3 people that have private messaged me about going back to Weight Watchers. And they had some initial success with keto, felt a little stalled, wanted some action, just not feeling it with keto. And so one left, and she said, would I still support her? And I said, of course. And so then I started getting private messages that she was watching my Weight Watcher podcast. And then another one that said she was doing the same while she got ready to begin going back to Weight Watchers. And then another one tried it, another private messenger, and trying to do it a lot of different ways, but definitely trying to keep some keto in it. And then if you watch Felicia Ann, the nurse, she did Weight Watchers with integrating her keto to the best of her ability, plus having some grains, and had some good success with it. She lost 8 pounds. And she's very, very careful to keep telling us that it's her experiment. It's what happened to her body. So we all don't think that we can rush out and do it and have the same results, because it's dangerous thinking, and that's part of the cautionary tale about other people's journeys and successes. They aren't ours. They aren't us. So what happens if you're a true binger? And I will never forget my biggest, most incredible binge of my life right before I entered Overeaters Anonymous. And to this day, I cannot believe the amount I ingested in this one day. It just staggers my mind. And it's amazing it's still here because it was like 40 years ago. And that was the biggest one to date. And I know that feeling of not being able to stop, just this hunger that has nothing to do with hunger. It's awful. One of the things that I feel with keto is there's a little bit of a bubble and protection for me thinking about keto and not having the carbs and the grains, the sugars, and the fruits that were a big contributor all the time to my binging, and that being in a satiated frame of mind with keto, as well as satiated frame of belly with keto, because I'm getting enough of the good fats and enough veggies, so it just feels all nice and balanced, and I feel full. At the end of my meal, I want to feel full, and I want to feel satiated. And my addict is always really, really dastardly. She's right there to let me know I didn't eat enough. And most times that rarely, rarely happens, although I do have to have a tussle with her sometimes after the first meal. And that could be for a variety of reasons. One is because the first meal doesn't take as long to eat. If I'm not dining, I need to dine 2 times a day. And what do I mean by dining? That I am enjoying and savoring the meal for 15 or 20 minutes easy. That's the beauty of having that great big salad that I almost eat with my fingers too, just to make, like one piece of celery and I'll chew it. I'll put a piece of feta in between the little, curved thing of the feta and eat it like it's some sort of appetizer. I'll cut the cucumbers in big chunks so I can have those one at a time as well. So these are just tricks that I've learned along the way that work for me. So I have to take my time. That's also a good reason to have the veggies, because veggies take longer to chew and swallow. And so by the time I get done with my first meal, I literally have spent 20 minutes or more dining. And so part of the stomach satiation, I guess, comes from that I spent long enough eating, so the stomach lets the brain know I've had enough, and I don't feel the need to go back for seconds, to slice off something else and quickly shove it in. I know that I have to give the whole thing time. And as I've shared with some of you here, after my first meal, it takes about 45 minutes to have that whole cycle messaged back to my brain that I've had enough. And that's because I make sure that I put enough fat in it, as well enough vegetables to just kind of fill me up and fat me up. I haven't had the urge to binge for a long, long time, but definitely since I've been on keto. I don't know if that's a perk. So if some of you are feeling out of control or literally out of control, I'm just wondering if you are on a stricter keto food plan where you're allowing enough fats but also enough veggies to feel full, and allowing your belly enough time to just get the message. Do you follow your meal with a great big glass of like lemon water, or do you begin your meal with a great big glass of lemon water to kind of tell your stomach, it's coming, and the rest of it is food? I don't overload on water because I think that makes for very expensive urine, but I do have probably 80 ounces of water, 80 to 100 ounces, including the coffees, each day. And to me, that feels like enough. Dr. Berg is not a big proponent of tons of water. He kind of feels the same way. So if you are binging, is that because you're still allowing some standard American diet items in your carbs for the day? Are you having artificial sweeteners and so many of them that it's like almost like you wouldn't even know they were artificial 0-calorie sweeteners because they're just setting you up? Are you having things that are kind of dubious, like perhaps diet sodas or something like that, mimicking sweet? When Christina, at the end of her most recent relapse, she said in one of her podcasts, I used to think I was a sugar addict, and now I know I'm a sweet addict. And that can be the setup. And I don't know about your personal journey, of course, but I know that my addict is a sweet and grainy addict. But once I start on the sweets combined with grains, like a dessert that has, layers to it, ends up being my drug of choice, because then I'm getting both. I'm getting grains and sugar and a whole bunch of sugar and a whole bunch of artificial, probably not healthy fats in the frosting and things like that. So if you are binging, have you done keto with perhaps a couple extra tablespoons of either olive oil on your green leafy big A salad, or coconut oil in your coffee or your tea, or even on your vegetables? Are you adding extra fats just to get through, to find what point is it that you feel full and not tempted by other things? Are you avoiding looking at triggering items? Food porn. Very, very dangerous. To get that visual in your head, at least for me, I know that I can't dance with it. And so when somebody's got a video that includes a recipe that I feel like I could eat the entire casserole, and it might still be all keto, but there's just something about it that I just know it's not something that I could eat in safety, as much as the portions. Here's the piece of fish, or here's the pork chop, or here's the grass-fed burger. Over here's the great big salad with olive oil, whatever kind of oil you put on it that's healthy for you, filled with the veggies that might take a while to eat. Even avocado, there's another great satiating fat, and it's got potassium in it too, which is good because we need 4,700 milligrams of it each day. So for me, it's just my suggestion. If you're still binging, I hope it's not keto. If it is keto, I'm not sure. But if you're allowing some of those more tricky, like starchy veggies, maybe oatmeal, maybe that baked potato that just seems like it's a good idea, maybe some of those not wraps with like 150 grams of fiber. So that's why you've got the net few carbs and you're having those. And so your body doesn't know what a net carb is. It knows that you just had a roll-up or a piece of bread that mimics the standard American diet. And to me that says, here it comes. My addict, my pilot light, my triggers and cravings have been set up, and I can't go near it. It's just, to me, it's just a dangerous, slippery slope, because, yes, just what I said, your body doesn't know the difference between this net carb bread or wrap or something like that. It does get tricky. I do know that the day after I have my fathead pizza, there's a little song playing in my head, just a little one, but I immediately take all the leftover pizza and peel the cheese and pepperoni off of it and put it in a little fiesta dish, and the next day that goes on my scrambled eggs. So the pizza's gone. I'm not having leftover fathead pizza. Why? Because I know that a leftover pizza would be a setup for me, even if it's fathead pizza made with almond meal. I have not had the coconut. I have not had the cauliflower crust ones. I just found what Greg likes and I like, and I stick with it. Plus, I've got the almond flour, so there you go. And I'm looking for more of a convenient sort of way to do it, and I've got it knocked out so I can do it in the copper pan, everything but forming the crust on parchment paper for the oven. But yeah, I like my pizza day easy peasy, and it ends up that way with my putting everything over low heat, or at least the cheeses, and then adding the flour, then adding the eggs, then forming it on the roasting pan with the parchment paper to make the crust, and then adding the toppings. But I digress. So, if you are still plagued with a binging disorder, a really just gripping, takes your breath away, how quick it happens, how hard it is to stop sort of event, I'm just asking you, what is it that you have in your food plan for the day? There will be withdrawals. If you have a little standard American diet every single day, then you might have a little craving for more garbage. It just, you can't feed it a little bit and not keep that pilot light just kind of turned up a little bit. I know that one of the people that left for Weight Watchers lasted 2 weeks in Weight Watchers, and she could not stop. She could not stop with, she'd come home and she'd spy it and she'd start eating it, and she couldn't stop. And so I'm not sure if she lives with somebody that's not keto, so it's there in the house and it's hard to squint at. But if you're in that dangerous place, another suggestion is to have your own shelf in the pantry, your own shelf in the fridge, and you just learn to only see that. You're not checking out somebody else's that could have the bingeable foods in them, on them, if you can't put them in a place, like if it's a dry good, someplace that you can close the door on and not have to see. Same with fruits, if you put them in a cupboard so you're not looking at them, and so you're not, to me, sometimes I think fruits are the gateway to the grains and the other standard American blah blah. So, it's just my suggestion, if you do still binge with no end in sight, could it be related to grains, sugars, or fruits, things that you think you're having in small amounts, especially if you do the Weight Watchers diet, and so you have, that one piece of something, that one slice of something, that one, heavier starch veggie, thinking that you're safe and it's tracked and you're doing points just to see, and but still kind of keto. It could be a risky neighborhood. You could be going over the bridge to the bad hood. So check out what your foods are. You can always private message me, and we can kind of talk about it. I know that the 3 went back to Weight Watchers for certain. I haven't had a review from one yet. I had one from one where it was a struggle to kind of do keto Weight Watcher style or Weight Watcher keto style, and the other one had a 2-week disastrous run, finding out that she is an addict to the standard American diet items. And as we find out with a lot of our food problems and our food plans, is that a lot of them we initially lose. And then when it gets into the same food, the same day, with not much action on the scale or with our pants, things like that, that we just need to really look at what our goals are, because I don't think a lot of us older women can have it the way that we used to have it, even if we did Weight Watchers with success 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. or even 5 years ago. I think for an older woman with a metabolism such as the ones that we get after menopause, or even before and during, is that it's game over. And so it's finding something that works, whether, it's your first love or not. There's just some things. Some of us can never drink anymore. That would be me. Some of us can't smoke anymore. That would be me. Some of us can't eat grains, fruits, or sugar, or even fake sweet anymore. That is also me. Is it boohoo for Sarah? No. Once again, it comes back to that spiritual way of looking at it, being grateful for what I can have and not thinking about what is no longer an option. I will not be wearing a thong, eating a Subway and a bag of chips with a classic Coke. It just ain't gonna happen. And so sometimes people have to mourn the loss of something. Sometimes it's not something they have mourned yet. So it's going to be new to them. But if you're an older woman, you already know some of the things you've probably given up along the way. Or if you've suffered in any other area in your life, there's just certain places that you just can't go anymore. Like going from having, a job with a paycheck to Social Security or disability check or something like that. And suddenly, you have $600 less each week, which adds up to a lot at the end of the month. And so you have to begin to get used to living on a tighter budget. We all have our give-ups, and some of us are going to do it graciously and with integrity and accept that, health is once again the benefit. I don't think older bodies like grains. I think you get away with them for a number of decades, but I think the rebellion starts with the menopause, the weight gain, and all of the metabolic derangement that can happen. So, just know that you're not alone, that we've all done it. It's not fun, but I'd rather be standing up straight, able to do my podcasts and walk and work a little and enjoy fats than any other way. Any other way. I don't want the standard American diet. Even if I think I do for a second, I don't want it. I want keto. I want my veggies, my fats, my fatty meats. And it makes me happy. If what you're doing works for you, then this podcast might not apply to you. But if you're binging and kind of one foot in one program and one in the other, yeah, it's just, you can't. You can't drink near beer and use a vape. It's not going to work as successfully as both feet in one program, one way of life, and I'm going to choose the healthy keto version. This has been Sarah. Oh my God, 23 minutes? Thanks so much for watching if you're still with me and you haven't fallen asleep yet. Bye-bye for now.